Cheers.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day,
I think
my
it's
friend.
technically tomorrow, isn't it?
No, it's today.
Is it today?
Friday. Yeah. Go to Applebee's, get your free meal.
You just top off on my way home.
Are they still open?
Probably. It's Applebee's. I feel like they close at midnight.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we met in jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
We locked eyes across the mat. You were about 50 pounds heavier than I was.
Still am. Probably.
Questionable.
What do you weigh now?
Right now I'm like 180, 185.
I'm like almost 230. So
It's pretty yoked, dude.
it's mostly the D. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. No, well endowed. So I know with the Veterans Day and everything else like that, did you do anything special?
I went to my kids' school. They had pancakes for the veterans, and they did an assembly, sausage, breakfast, full-blown thing. It was pretty cool, actually.
That's not bad.
So, you?
I did nothing, dude.
You didn't do anything?
I did nothing.
Did you get anyone?
I'm trying to think.
Did you post a new picture on your Facebook? A lot of vets post pictures of them doing stuff on active duty to.
Oh God, no.
No.
No. It's actually it's something I missed out on, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. You wish you took more pictures.
Oh, dude.
When you were in.
I have like 5 pictures.
Yeah.
I wish I took way more pictures. I thought it was lame. I'm like, dude, I'm not taking a picture of this 50 cal. Like, I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck didn't
then you looked at the guys that did it and you're like,
what a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot now.
I'm the idiot.
I'm a fucking idiot.
I've got maybe from my deployment photos, maybe 5.
Dude, I have less than that.
Well, I mean, you did deploy back in like the early 2000s.
Well, there are people that took a bunch of pictures. Like when I was at Bucca, I was there for like a year. I think I took 3 pictures.
It's Polaroid.
I mean, it was a digital camera. And then, I went to Iraq 2 more times after that. And I have literally a collection, maybe 30 pictures, 3, if that, from those deployments and training and everything. I'm just like, I'm just stupid for not taking those pictures. But
yeah, man, it's and part of me was like, I was super freaked out because I remember getting the intel briefs and everything else like that.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, you're like, oh man, if I even tell them what the weather's like today, I'm going to violate some sort of, secret policy.
100%. And I'm like, and I see these veterans now, and they're posting like all this crazy shit on TikTok and YouTube, and a day in the life of a security forces person or a SEER person. It's like, dude, if I did that when I was active duty, I would have gotten a fucking Article 15, 100%,
or an LOR for sure.
Like there were people that got, like, I don't know. So I know the person that posted that video asking Justin Timberlake to the Marine Corps ball. Like, I know, I went to college with that girl.
Oh my God.
And it was a complete fucking shitstorm of her even just doing that. So it's like, and that was probably 2010, maybe something.
When
like
did you get in?
05.
How old were you?
First joined 18.
What motivated you?
Probably there were a few different things for sure. One being, like, my family didn't grow up with a lot of money, and my brother joined the Army, and he came back with, his own cell phone and a cool car and cool clothes and all this other stuff. And I'm like, all I have to do is just join the military, and I can, live this life. And
I've got to ask, did he show up with a Mustang?
He had a Camaro.
Of course.
Yep.
You called it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Was a Camaro, and he was stationed down in Georgia and was just loving life. And I was like, okay, I was a sophomore, junior year at the time when he came back from the Army, and I was like, dude, sign me up. I was going to join the Army, and my English teacher, Mrs. Wheeler, was like, don't join the Army, because she was in the Army. She was like, the Air Force guy is here today, and you can skip my class if you go talk to him. Done. Talk to the Air Force recruiter, and that was it, man. Yeah.
That's solid, man.
Yep.
You got some sort of notification that popped up. For those listening in to this podcast after the edit and everything else like that, Jeff here is live currently.
What's the most tickets I ever wrote in one time? I still have the record at Elmendorf for the most tickets written in one drive. 100%.
I'm gonna call,
dude. Call the Elmendorf LE desk, dude. I promise you. I wrote this, so I'll go back into my motivations of joining the military here. But
that's a good question.
But dude, we'll actually get into that after I kind of walk through this, because it's for the podcast, right? So. But yeah, so I joined the Air Force. I was in DEP for like a year and a half, because I DEP'd in my junior year. So my entire the rest of my junior and my full senior year that I was in the delayed entry program, where like you're just doing monthly checks with the recruiter. You're volunteering. Like I did a couple parades for like recruiting events and stuff, and yeah. And I tried to quick ship a couple of times.
What was that experience like, being in high school? And because you see all those Instagram reels, right?
Yeah,
it's like, you don't even know my true potential. I'm getting ready to go into the military. You civvy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
No,
did it affect you at all?
No,
or?
I mean, I struggled with identity in high school for sure. I had I wasn't really sure what I was doing or who I was. Mm-hmm. And the Air Force gave me an identity, which helped me through like my last year and a half of high school for sure. So I'd wear the Air Force shirts, and I was just known as the Air Force guy, right? And that was cool, right? I was on the swim team too. Like I kind of had that, but I've really owned, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing, right? It was right after 9/11 too. So 9/11 happened my freshman year, and it's like, I really want to like do this. I was this close to signing a pararescue contract, but what got me into law enforcement was one of my brother's friends. He got an MP slot with the Army and was like, dude, I got the MP slot. Oh, it was like this big celebration, and I was like, is this something to be like coveted? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think it'd be cool. Like, because I was like, cool. Like, if I do pararescue, what am I going to do when I get out? Like, what is it? I could be a paramedic,
EMT.
And, yeah. And I was like, well, I could be a cop. Like, done. Right. I love helping people and just motivated from that. And at the time, I didn't really have any intentions of like going to full-time college. Right. So I was like, oh, let me just join the Air Force. They give you the CCAF. I'll have my associates, and then I'll just walk onto a police department when I get out. And that was kind of the plan, right? And I went through tech school, got my first stationed up at Elmendorf, Alaska, where I still hold the record of most tickets written in one stop. Dude, if I was a cop now, I 100% would write.
Hold on. So most tickets in one day, or most tickets
on one
like
stop?
Most citations.
So with the 1408s is what the Air Force Armed Forces ticket is called for all the listeners. If you're speeding and you don't have your seatbelt on, you can't write one ticket for both issues, right? You have to write a different ticket for different issues, right?
Yep.
Dude, I wrote this one kid like 14 tickets in one stop. It was like, I was like, dude, like, so at the time the record,
that's a lot.
So at the time the record was like 10. And I was like, there were like 6 blatant things. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm just going to go through the regs and just fucking hammer this kid. Right. I felt so bad because he wasn't like dick or anything. He was just on his way to work.
He's just minding his own business. And you're just here to fuck his day up.
God, dude. Oh my God. Dude,
it was just a low level airman.
It went from speeding to not having mud flaps on his car, because that was actually in the regs. It was in the regs. I'm like, I'm writing him for it. I'm like,
oh my God.
Right. I'm like, I want to set the bar so high, and unfortunately, this kid's going to be the front of it. So here's the thing, though, right? So I mainly worked the desk. I was like the dispatcher.
Yeah, BDoc.
Right? BDoc. which is actually a pretty coveted thing on flight.
For sure.
It is.
If you're in BDOC, yeah, it's still a thing, man. If you're in BDOC, you're seen as like
a high
especially
speed.
especially if you're like senior airman.
Yeah.
You're like, oh dude, this guy's definitely getting staff.
I was a senior airman at BDOC, and I would work the road every once in a while whenever the trainers wanted to train someone else.
Sure.
It's like, all right, cool, yep, I'll take police 3 or whatever. And Elmendorf was a busy desk. Like, knowing what I know now about security forces, like Elmendorf is not like it's not quite the LA of the Air Force, but it's not podunk nowhere. Like, it's like it's like,
yeah,
they got a lot of calls.
It's not San Antonio. I feel like San Antonio is crazy, dude.
It's got to be, right? We got a lot of calls, man, and yeah, like I was just riding around on police 3 or something like that on the front side of base, and dude, I would just write fucking. Oh, dude, I love it.
You know what drives me nuts is whenever I would be doing like my annual tour or anything else like that, right? Going from a civilian law enforcement agency when I have my NCIC,
just right there,
the clearance and everything right there, to like clear mail holding North Carolina.
Yeah, no, it's
like the BDOC's like, go ahead.
So
it's just it takes forever, man. Yeah, send it.
Yeah. No, I was that guy for sure. I loved it too, man. Like managing situations, but up in Alaska, they don't use NCIC. They use something called APSIN, which is kind of NCIC.
Is it to include the tribes?
Is
that why? Or?
I think it's like because people that move to Alaska, they won't get Alaskan driver's license a lot of the time. So there's an issue within the NCIC database where I could have a suspended license in Florida and get my license here in the state of Colorado, and you won't know it if you run it in the NCIC immediately. It'll take a few years to actually catch up.
It will tell me that you're eligible or that you have a driver's license in Colorado.
Yeah.
That's all that matters for me.
Yeah.
In Colorado.
Yep.
But then they'll also say, but showing revoked Florida. So like that information gets sent to us pretty quickly these days. But
so they may have updated it because I was using NCIC when I was stationed in Kansas, and a lot of the times, like we would, off the record, we would run each other's driver's licenses and stuff. Yeah, and how
many points do I have, bro?
Dude, and we would just know that like the data wasn't there that was supposed to be there. So maybe they updated it. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I did. So what people don't know about security forces is that security forces is kind of, and you weren't active duty, right? You were guard or reserve?
I was active reserve for eight and a half years.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, security forces is very much like a branch in of itself. You can do CADM, which is you're teaching people how to shoot guns. You can do K9, where you have a dog. You can do nuke security, where you're out in the missile field. You can do police work where you're like an investigator. Like there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. And that's why I kind of I explain to people that security forces isn't just one thing. Like there's multiple things that you can do. You can be in the 820th and just do deployments all the time and just do convoys. Right. So it's so to encompass security forces into one package, it's impossible to do. And that's why when I see people talking badly about security forces, or there's people that think that they're super high speed, I'm like, the people that think that they're pretty high speed are probably in the 820th, or they're doing something really high
Travis,
speed.
Right? Travis movie.
It was down at Robbins down in Georgia.
I thought it's Travis now.
It might be. It might have changed. I got out 12 years ago, so it's I didn't even know. But and you see a disparity of people that are security forces talking shit about each other all the time, and it drives me fucking nuts, right? I'm like, dude, why are people talking shit about this? But there's SWAT teams you can join, a whole bunch of different things. So you can
ERT baby.
You can have, so it was EST, emergency services team out in Kansas, which I was on,
emergency
by the way.
response team.
There you go, yeah.
Good old the 916th.
Yep, and but no, I mean, it's a blast. So if you're looking at joining the Air Force, look at security forces.
We are not sponsored by the Air Force.
Not yet.
Not yet.
The
power of yet.
Right. So exactly. So would you recommend someone joining this,
100%.
security forces career field?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And here's the reality of the situation. Like you said, there's so many different shreds you can go into. I have talked to a buddy of mine that's still in, and he's explained that there's an ideology of switching back prior to tech school.
What do you mean?
So remember, probably when you went through tech school, you were with base security, law enforcement, everything was taught in tech school.
Yep. You have different blocks. Yep.
Prior to you getting in, probably back in like the 80s, 90s, they were shredded.
Oh, so it was like you can do the security side or you can do law enforcement side. Correct. Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're shredding it out between security and law enforcement, from what I was told. And the idea behind that is because the two functions are totally separate. And what the security guys do, they do a lot of shit, like especially with our nuclear capabilities and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people shit on them because they're like, oh, man, you're just sitting there guarding a gate. And it's like, kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a lot of like nuclear transports, things like that. So, and then personnel protection would fall under the security, not the law enforcement. Now, contrary to that, I don't know where Ravens, because you were a Raven for how many years?
Shout out to the Ravens. My back. Yeah. No,
flex it, dude.
Right. Yeah.
You get it on camera yet?
No.
Flip around. Flip the microphone so everybody can see you. Yeah. Check this out, dude. You got a fanboy t-shirt still. Still fits them too.
Barely. Barely. No, it is Veterans Day, so I was like, I want to wear something veteran, right? I don't have a whole lot of. I don't have a whole lot of. I have a what?
I got a multicam hat.
Oh yeah. No,
my deployment hat on.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of like military. Actually, I do. That's a lie. I have a whole fuckload of military gear that's in my basement, but I just don't touch it.
Yeah, dude, mine's in my.
Oh my god, yeah. But like as far as like t-shirts that I'll wear out, no, it's. But yeah, no. So the Ravens.
When did you get? How many years did you spend in the Ravens from the time you got in? So I want to backtrack a little bit. Your brother got in before you.
Yep.
How many years?
I think he got stop lost. So he was supposed to do 4, I think, but he wound up doing so he joined in 2003. I think he left in 2008.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So he got in shortly after 9/11 too.
Yeah. Yep. Right after. Yeah. He was, he was in it though. Like he was,
And then you got in, served how many years total?
6 total.
And
6 to the day. Yeah.
How many years as a Raven?
I went through in 2007 and I was a Raven the entire time, pretty much.
Okay.
Like I was doing law enforcement stuff because I wasn't at a full-time Raven base. So I would get a phone call at 2 a.m. saying, hey, like, let's go. We're going to the fucking Philippines. Like, all right, cool.
That's so dope.
I'll fucking text my flight chief like, hey, I'm not coming in tomorrow because I'm going to the Philippines in an hour. I was single, dude. Like I'd grab my bug out bag and just be gone, dude.
That's
I would
so
hit up the armory and just,
man.
Dude, I got some fucking Raven stories, bro.
Tell them if you can. Tell them, dude.
Oh man, off the record.
Nothing's that's going to incriminate you.
No. So I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations on some of this stuff is completely gone. So it's fine. I can tell some of these stories. So first off, being a Raven makes you look badass to civilians, especially the girls that I was dating at the time. It's like, oh, I'd be sleeping over their house. I get a phone call from a random number. Hey, you got to go to the Philippines. That looks cool as fuck. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Yep.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
I'm going on a fucking C-17 and I'm going to fucking Japan. I'll see you in fucking maybe 2 weeks. Like, I don't know when I'm going to be back. Legit, I have no idea when I'm going to be back. It was a wild. And you make so much money and with like the extra per diem and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So like when I'm out in the Philippines so I was in PACAF up in Elmendorf. So it's like mostly all bases out in the Pacific, right?
Yeah.
Thailand, China, right? Fucking random ass spots. And you just get a random phone call. And so the mission is basically make sure no one fucks with the plane, the people, or the cargo. Like that's your whole mission. There's 4 guys. You have the full air crew, which is like a load master, a flying crew chief, 2 pilots, and whoever is there, right? Sometimes there's a contracting officer. Sometimes there's, other people, but that's pretty much the main crew.
Are you able to talk about what aircraft it was?
Yeah, I was in the C-17 and I did a couple missions on the C-130s too.
So what's the big deal about guarding them? Are you dropping? Because this is the part, and this is from a security force member.
Yeah,
I was always baffled at Raven flying away with I always assumed they guarded like the U-2 bomber the fucking
Sometimes.
stealth bombers,
No,
and
it's
shit like that. You know what I mean?
It's really most like in a lot of these locations, some of them are terrorism. Like those are the bad Raven missions. Like the guys that are out of like McGuire, like those are the missions where you're going to like legit fucking dangerous places where it's like you have to worry about someone planting a bomb on the plane or something like that, right? When you're in fucking Thailand, you're worried about thieves, right? You don't want people stealing the fucking dashboard to a C-17, right? Or you don't want them stealing shit off the plane or whatever. You know what I mean? That's really mostly what it was. I mean, like you do have like Abu Sayyaf out of the Philippines, and there are terrorist groups in like Malaysia and stuff, right? Al Qaeda does exist in those places, especially when I was flying there. But like mostly, dude, it was just like people that talk shit about Ravens, dude. It's like, yo, we've traveled and fucking partied our asses off.
Well, I think that's why we talk shit. Man,
no, dude, there are some Ravens that pretend to be like Navy SEALs or something, but like, and that kind of makes us look bad. Because it's really kind of like a humble thing. Like people want to be Ravens because you get to travel the world. Dude, I've seen like 30 countries before I was 24. Right. And it's like, and I didn't pay for any of it. And like you fly with the same air crews. So it's like literally just you and your boys that are just.
You and the captain just fucking hanging
literally,
out.
Dude. Like, we'll be in Hawaiian t-shirts flying around in a fucking cargo plane. But anyway, so I'll tell you one of these stories where I almost got like, I'll tell you a serious story where I almost got fucking shot, and then another story where I almost lost a stripe. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
So the first one is the one where I almost lost a stripe.
Explain lost a stripe to
so
people
like you get in so much trouble that you get demoted. So I was an E4 flying around. I actually went to Raven School as an E3, which is difficult to do. It's almost impossible to get a Raven slot as an E3. They pretty much want you to be at least a senior airman with your 5 level done. I just finished my 5 level. Went to Raven School in 07. Basically, lots of flutter kicks, lots of wall sits, and you get your ass kicked by the red man, which I did. But I was pretty big. But Sergeant Stewart, shout out, this gigantic fucking dude. He was huge. Had to been 300 pounds. I don't know how he passed his PT. He was in shape though. Like he was running 8.5 minute miles.
You need that plugged in?
That's fine. If it dies, it dies.
No, dude. Here.
No.
What is it? An iPhone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna stop it anyway. Thanks, guys.
We're no longer live.
Because it's gonna die anyway. So, Sergeant Stewart. Yeah. So just the Raven School experience was really cool.
How many weeks is it?
The time was like a month. I think it was like a full month.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost failed the PT test going in because I didn't do the push-ups right. They were so strict on the fucking push-ups. I'm talking
the Air
like,
Force normally is pretty lenient,
dude. Well,
during the PT test, the annual PT test.
So they changed. Like it was pretty lenient because like I would do your PT test. I was a PTL.
Yeah.
Right. But then they changed it to where they had the contractors come in, and I don't know if they still do that or not.
No, I was a PT. Well, for the reserves, I was a PTL for a long time.
So from like 09 to like when I got out, like they were pretty strict on form. Yeah. And the Ravens because you have to pass the Army PT test to be a Raven. I don't know if it's still like that now, but
probably.
I almost
shout
failed.
out to the Army for having a higher standard of PT.
And I mean, and I almost failed the push-ups, but I was like, dude, the next day I'm like, dude, I'm gonna die, but before I get kicked out for not packing. I've never failed a PT test in my entire life. So I did the push-up, stayed, and graduated. It was awesome. But anyway, so on this one Raven mission, it was to the Philippines, right? And random, we picked up. I'm not gonna say what we picked up. It was fucking stupid. The whole mission. I can't believe that. I'll tell you off the line what the fuck it was, but
I'm sure it'll infuriate me.
We fly away to the Philippines, and we drop cargo off to a Marine base in Japan called Iwakuni, right? We're flying back. We had to fly back to the Philippines for some other reason, and like halfway there, mid-flight, legit the engine exploded. And by this time, dude, I've been in planes with so much turbulence, like you can't shake me on a flight. Like the fucking thing could be about to hit the dirt, and I'd probably still be calm just because of all this shit. I have thousands of hours flying on these fucking planes, right? engine explodes like fireball status in the fucking sky, and they were like, we're gonna head back to Yokota. How does that sound? And the flying crew chief is like, well, that's not good. So we fucking basically glide into Yokota Air Base because we were only under power for three engines, and we land. And I want to hit all the details because this is a really kind of a crazy story. We land, and the fucking aircrew commander, the guy who's in charge of the whole mission in the plane, he's like a captain in 03.
Right.
And he's like, all right, guys, crew chief says engine's fucked, and it's going to be a couple weeks before the freaking parts come in. So be on standby, essentially. Right. So I'm just like, okay, at this time I've had a couple Raven missions under my belt. I'm like, so what, we just get to chill in Yokota
Right.
for a couple weeks and we collect per diem. I'm like, yo, this is dope.
And don't have to actually work.
Yeah. So, and Yokota at the time didn't really have a big Raven like group. So we were just, okay. It was a Friday night anyway. And I bring all the stuff to the hotel. We have airfield site survey stuff with like thermal imagers and like all this high speed shit. And you basically just locked into my hotel room, and we brought the weapons to the armory at Yokota. And we're like, all right, cool. This is MySpace days. So I MySpace my buddy Ron Wood. Shout out to Ron Wood. I haven't talked to that guy probably since this incident. So if he's watching, dude, thanks.
Tag him on Instagram, dude.
So I hit him up. I'm like, yo, because we went to tech school together. I'm like, yo, I'm in Yokota. Like what's up?
Stationed? Yeah. Was he stationed there?
He was. And he was
Okay.
like, and he responded back on my MySpace like 20 minutes later, like, yo, we're having a dorm party.
Oh my God.
It's Friday. Bring like $10 for pizza and beer. And I was like, all right, down. Right. So I go to the BX, buy some decent civilian clothes. And I can't even tell the story. and I head over there, and it is a complete fucking sausage fest. All dudes.
Oh no.
It's a typical cop dorm party, right? It's all dudes. I'm like, oh, this is fucking stupid. And I don't know. I'm just chilling with the boys and just drinking and eating pizza and playing beer pong and like whatever in the fucking day room of the dorms at Yokota. And
meanwhile, I don't think you're supposed to have alcohol inside the dorms.
It
at
was
that
like,
point, right?
Well, it was in Japan. I think the laws are different, so
Okay.
they provide leniency to a lot of the airmen that are there. Yeah.
Okay.
I was 21 during this, so this was like summer of 08. I want to say, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, I was 21, but I don't think everything there was. Anyway, so we're there just chilling, and two chicks walk in, and I was like, okay,
finally.
I was like, okay, right. And they were immediately interested. Like, hey, who the fuck are you? I'm like, oh, I'm a Raven. I'm here on a mission.
Oh, because you're the new face.
My fucking plane blew up midair. Totally terrifying, right? Made up all these crazy stories. And they were intrigued. I'm just chatting them up. And they were like, oh, well, we're about to go downtown Tokyo. Like, do you want to come? And I was like, yo, sorry, Ron Wood, but I've never been to Tokyo. Like, let's go, right? Or wherever the fuck they went.
Fuck this dorm party, dude.
And I don't know if there was bad blood between the girls and the guys that were in there, but like none of them came. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. Because like, shout out to Air Force girls. Air Force girls have the best, like they're the most attractive girls, right? So, so we navigate the intricate subway system to get to downtown Tokyo, and we get to like this like club that's like a like hardcore techno, like rave music. And I was like, all right, cool. And I'm there. The two girls that I went with are dancing with other guys, and I was like, this is arguably more lame than right. So I'm like just buying drinks, trying not to be a creeper, And the one friend got really drunk, and the other one was like taking care of her, and she was like, oh hey, like I got to bring her back, take my phone number. And I'm like, all right. It's some crazy Japanese phone number, like 30 digits long.
And this is the airman that you went out with.
Yeah. It's one of the two girls. So one of the girls was fucking wasted, and this one is like drunk but like coherent. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, take down my number, like whatever. And I was like, I can't take your number. She's like, oh well, hey, here's my dorm room number. And I was like, okay. I was like, at this time, I was still kind of a pussy when it came to like making moves on girls. So I was like, okay, like, am I going to have the balls to actually go to this fucking dorm room? Right. Anyway, they leave and I had no interest in being
How
there.
far was the trip from
Dude,
the base to
dude,
downtown?
it was a solid like hour and a half. I feel like.
Holy shit.
Like Yokota to Tokyo is not a short trip. Like it's like, for us, it'd be like going up to like fucking Broomfield or like Boulder. It's like,
that's
it's
a trip, dude.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty fucked up. Like I'm not sober at all. And I get on the subway and I get totally fucking lost. And my fucking drunk ass wound up in the middle of nowhere in Japan. No one speaks any fucking English. I was like, oh fuck. So randomly a fucking taxi comes up and I'm like, oh hey, taxi. Please. Stops, right? And I get in. This is kind of racist, but I was like, can you take me to Yokota? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm from Cleveland. Like, where do you want to go? And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, all right, dude, I'm fucked up. Can you take me to Yokota? He's like, dude, it's a pretty far drive. It's gonna be like $150 like US. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I had
no choice.
I was like, well, I had a bunch of cash on me anyway, because I was expecting to like take the girls out and stuff. But,
yeah, sure. And you're getting per diem.
Yeah.
While being there.
Honestly, dude, it felt like it was like a 2-hour drive. I was like, dude, are you sure you only want like $150? Like I felt like really bad because he was in the middle of nowhere. He lived in that area. Right. So he has to drive all the way back. I felt bad. He's like, no, dude, take 150, whatever. I get out, walk in through the gates at Yokota, and there's
the walk of shame, dude. We need to talk about that.
And it's the security forces guys that are at the gate. And I was like, hey guys, like whatever. I'm walking by and the fucking and the girl's dorm is like right there. I had sobered up at this point. I was like, it's right there. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Go back to my hotel room and fucking wank one? Or
so did she leave before you?
She left way before me.
Oh,
yeah.
And you just decided to stay out?
I stayed for maybe because I didn't want to look like a creeper. You know what I mean?
Oh, and leave with them.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool guys. Like I'm gonna hang out here, like whatever. Try to play it cool.
No, dude.
So listen to the story. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I make that choice. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Go back to the hotel room, or am I gonna go get the fucking courage and knock in this girl's dorm room, right? And I get the courage. I knock on. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm so fucking nervous. Knock in the dorm room. She answers the door in a towel, and was like, "Oh, hey, I'm about to watch a movie. Like, do you want to watch it with me?" And I was like, "Yep."
You just watch movies in a towel? What?
She had just gotten out of the shower, so I guess her friend had gotten super fucked up.
Yeah,
and it was just a big mess. And
what were the dorms like? Like, because
basically like a college dorm. Like it's very much 2
bunks or 2 beds.
No, like she had her own room.
Oh,
yeah,
that's legit.
Yep, she had her own room.
I know a lot of places have the 2-bed concept.
Nope, she had her own room. It was legit. It was basically like a studio apartment. Like you get hooked up at Yokota, at least in 2008.
Yeah, well, the Air Force has only gotten better. So
yeah, so. We're watching. It was one of my favorite movies. I got probably a little bit more excited about the movie than I probably should have. But anyway, so whatever happened that night, and her phone rings. It's probably like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at this point. Like we had just fallen asleep. Her phone rings. She answers it. She's like, hello? She's like, it's for you. And I was like, what the fuck? It's my fucking team leader. And he's like, dude, the plane is fucking leaving. Where the fuck are you? I was like, what the fuck? I forgot to check in. Like I was supposed to check in. I didn't check in, and the fucking flying crew chief like got a part or something like that, fixed the fucking thing. The plane was leaving. He's like, dude, where the fuck are you?
Oh my god.
The plane is fucking leaving. And I was like, oh fuck.
Splash water on your face.
Dude,
you're like, oh
not
fuck.
Even, dude. I'm running across. This is 100% running across Yokota Air Base in my fucking boxers and a tank top. And like the distance from her dorm to where the hotel was, because I had to at least get my flight suit, right?
Yeah.
Got my flight suit on. They had already gotten the weapons. I left all the airfield site survey equipment, thermal imagers. I left it all at the hotel because I was like, dude, they were taxiing. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, having a missed movement is worse than having to explain, because I could have Ron go back and grab all the shit.
Hey,
and
go grab it,
exactly, and fucking ship it back or something, right? So I'm like, fuck it, get my flight suit on. I fucking dip, dude, to the fucking airfield, and from the hotel to the airfield is a longer run. So this is why you have to be a good runner in the Air Force, because in case you're caught in a situation like this, you can run to the fucking plane. So anyway, I run to the plane. I didn't break red. Honestly, there was no one there. If there was a cop there, he was sleeping. Like, dude, this was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Fuck that.
I fucking run up to the plane, dude. I'm like knocking on the fucking door, like, literally let me in. Chalks were up, dude. Like, let me in. And they fucking let me in, and they were like, everyone was like, not just like, oh man, that sucks. Like, they were pissed. They were legit fucking pissed. I'm like, dude, I was with a girl. Like, you guys are really gonna be pissed? They're like, dude, that was fucked up. And I got reamed, dude, by everybody. Like,
dude, you would have lost a stripe,
dude. And
a missed movement is dude.
So,
well, that's great. So hold on. Yeah. By the time you land to this happening, what's the time frame?
It's got to be like 12 hours, maybe 15
holy
hours.
Shit, because they told you initially a week.
But I mean, a part of the Raven thing, man, is like you have to be able to go at a moment's notice, right? So it's like I've been to places before where I had to augment like a whole nother team, right? Where it's like I'm off because we're doing 2 on, 2 off or whatever.
Yeah.
And another team comes in and they have a guy that got sick or injured or whatever, and it's like, hey,
you're the fill-in.
Exactly. So it's like, you got to be ready. And that was my bad. And the guy that called me, my team leader, is actually like a pretty high up in OSI now, believe it or not. And it makes sense because I was like, how the fuck did you? I was like, after all my ass reamings and all that other stuff, I was like, dude, like, how the fuck did you know I was there? I was like, I was at a random apartment.
That's right.
Like, how the fuck did you get that number? And the way he explained it to me, it's kind of genius. He's like, well, we were panicking when we didn't know where the fuck you were. And they checked my MySpace. They saw that I contacted Ron Wood on there.
Right.
And they contacted Ron Wood. They got his number from the base, whatever. Yeah. And Ron Wood was like, well, he's out with this one particular airman, and she has a reputation. I'd probably call over there. They call over there. Sure enough, there I was. No missed movement on my record. That was crazy.
Dude, that's such a close call.
Oh my God, dude.
I bet your butthole was like,
bro. Yes. Yeah. But no, it was good times. I actually went back to Japan like 2 or 3 weeks later, and I re-met up with this girl.
Did you end up finding all your shit, like the equipment?
Yeah. Yep. So what had happened was my team leader had my back, called the S4 shop, and had our S4 shop contact, they're off S4, and they basically just sent it back on the next trip over. So
yeah,
shout out to that guy. I think he's like an E8 now. So he definitely.
Dude, I just remember when the only like equipment scare we had was we were deploying, and when we got back from the Middle East, we couldn't find like 4 of our rifles.
Oh, dude, that's not airfield site survey shit. That's how the fuck do you lose rifles,
dude?
Where were they?
I don't know.
To this day, you don't know where they
are. To my knowledge, they have been located.
God. Yo,
losing
rifles is 10 times worse than fucking a mismovement.
Yeah. People call ARs weapons of war.
Dude, it's like you ever accidentally...
This is a fully automatic.
You accidentally ever leave your weapon in a fucking porta-john?
Oh my God.
Afghanistan? Oh, fuck! Yeah. You fucking sprint back. Thank God. Oh my God, dude.
Holy we had each other's back a lot, dude. We would just carry it back to the post. We'd be like, this dude's fucked up. Like heat exhaustion or something.
Dude.
We'd just pick it up, bring it back. You'd look at it, and you, after a while, you'd know. And most of the guys were smart. They would like tape their name on it.
Yeah, like we had these like little Velcro things that would go on the buttstock.
Yeah.
That would have our name or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking call sign. Some people put call signs on there.
Fucking high speed, bro.
Yeah. No, dude, it's wild. Yeah, dude, I got some crazy Raven stories too, man. Like so
you ended up, so that was a fun butt pucker, but fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Right?
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Overall fun.
Yeah.
And then was that an earlier mission that you had?
That was probably midway. Yeah, like a lot of them are just like, for me as a PACAF Raven, was really just flying around the AO and the Pacific, and just we would fly with four people, and two of them would stay with the plane, and two of them would go out and do whatever the fuck they wanted. So and we would
would it be 12s?
Like it depends on the Raven team leader, right? I never got to the team leader rank when I was there, so it was like sometimes it was, hey, you guys want to do 24 on like off? I was like, fuck it, like let's do it. Like we're gonna be here for a minute. I'll take first shift. Me and fucking whoever will take first. You guys dip. See you guys tomorrow. Have fun, right? And then yeah, and it just kind of like that. You actually save money by sleeping on the plane too. So if you ever become a Raven, don't get a hotel unless you really want to. We all just
sleep on the plane.
We'll sleep on the plane, because your actual the money that they give you is supposed to be for the hotel. They're giving you the money anyway. So if you're sleeping on the plane, there's bunks on the plane.
Well, hold on. Back in your day,
Yep.
Did they give you cash?
It was just like you would go to Defense Finance and show them your orders, and then they would just
they stopped doing that shit because people started being sketchy about it.
like, why? Like how?
So people were bunking in the same hotel room. One guy was cashing out.
Yeah.
Splitting half.
Oh, dude, we would just stay on the plane. Oh, so,
I know.
So you have to have like a receipt now?
You need to have everything, dude. Everything is so documented. So you need to have a receipt. Once you have the receipt, you upload it into this, like, because everything's on a credit card. You can't even do a cash advance, but even that's hard.
Damn. No, dude, I fucking, we would just stay on, we would all just sleep on the plane. Like we had the nicest fucking, and a PACAF was jacked with money. So we got so much good gear.
Mm-hmm.
We had the nicest like sleeping mats or sleeping pads. So like, but it was typically like, if you were sleeping on the plane, there's always someone that's got to be up watching the plane. Cause like that, like
Sure.
That's the whole thing. Like if anyone fucks with the plane, like you're done. Right. So if you're back sleeping on the plane, someone else has got to be watching, and like they'll just sleep in the fucking bunks.
Yeah.
On the C-17. 99% of my Raven missions were on the 17. I have so many hours on that fucking plane. So we would make so much money on those missions. We'd party. Sometimes most of the time we would do 12 on, 12 off. And there'd be female Ravens that would come out. And it's like, hey, I got shift with so-and-so.
Oh my God. You dog.
No, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yep.
There is a part of me that misses, I haven't been out as long as you have.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that misses even just being a weekend warrior and going in and, hanging out with.
Yeah, dude.
It's like hanging out with the bros, man.
Dude,
it was like
100%, bro.
And when I was in, it was super frustrating. I was like, this is fucking dumb. Like, there's a lot of in the reserves. There's a lot of sitting around. You don't have funding for like simunitions, so you're like walking around with like rubber guns, clearing buildings. But like, I'd say 2020, man, that shit was a lot of fun,
dude. Like, I think for me, doing the Raven stuff was like, I enjoyed writing tickets and stuff, and like driving around and pulling BDoc and doing all that stuff. But like, really, it was just, I loved flying, dude. That was so fucking awesome. Like, just not knowing where you're going. Literally, like, there's sometimes, hey, you got to get to the squadron. You got a mission. Pack cold shit for 12 days. All right. You got no fucking clue where you're going. And you get there. And, like, once you get the confidence to, like, in the briefing room, you're with the pilots and you're with, like, all the ops people. And sometimes it'd be, like, a legit mission where they're dropping soft guys off somewhere over a country in the Pacific. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing? So I'm like dabbing up the fucking, SF SEAL types and,
Mm-hmm.
like in the room, like you're the security expert. So you're looking at the maps and you're like, all right, if we land here because there's a mountain on this side and, you don't have to worry about a threat on this side. And you're contributing aside from just, hey, you're just a guard sentry making sure no one fucks with the plane,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like some of those missions were legit. And like, I'm not saying that the dumb ones weren't legit, but some were definitely a lot more important than others for sure, right?
Right.
So it's like you're in the room, and even as an E4 on some of those things, like you're like, no, like if you have to park it here, or don't park it there.
Yeah.
Or when you fly in from this direction, don't fly in from that direction, right? It's like, and so the Air Force has snipers, as you know, the CPEC. I don't know if it's still a thing or not.
A recon now.
But a big thing when you're overseas in some of these countries, there's SOFA agreements, the status of forces agreement, which basically means like in some countries you're not allowed to be armed up, which is a little bit crazy. But if you're on the plane, you're actually considered on sovereign ground.
Mm-hmm.
You're considered on being in the United States. So I am actually not going to talk. I'm not going to talk about this. This is like a methods and sources type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to start kind of
full breaks.
But anyway, dude, it was just awesome, just flying around, and so you get to do the Federal Air Marshal training out in New Jersey when you're a Raven, and I was like, dude, maybe when I get out, I'll just be a fucking Air Marshal, right? Like that was like I have so many hours on a plane, and it didn't want to pan out, but yeah, dude, some of the best years of my life was
when you went to the Middle East. Were you a Raven at that point?
I did do Raven missions when I was in Iraq.
So how did so your base got selected for deployment?
Mm-hmm.
You got added to the roster.
Yeah.
Were you pissed?
No, because
normally Ravens kind of get passed up because they do so many flyaway missions.
So on my first deployment, I wasn't a Raven yet. So my first deployment was to Bucca, where I was basically a prison guard.
Where was Bucca for people that don't know?
It's like southern Iraq. It's like right next to Basra.
Okay.
Really kind of like it's right next to Kuwait, Iran. Like it's right kind of in the heart of all that shit. It's like in the most southernmost point of Iraq, essentially. And that's where one of the biggest prisons were. And a bunch of ISIS and Al Qaeda guys were in there, like Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He was in there. I met him, like a whole bunch of like big wig terrorists, right? I actually learned how to speak Arabic there. Like, so I was doing the Rosetta Stone, learning Arabic. And then when I went to the prison camp, I like got to the next level for sure. Cause I was like, I was talking to the ICOs, which is the Iraqi correctional officers, talking to the actual prisoners or the detainees, and everyone in between. And I just really honed my Arabic language skills there because I was there for almost a year. I think we got there in October, November of 2006, and I didn't leave until August, September of 2007. And then so it was a long deployment.
No kids, right?
No kids. No, dude, I don't know how people fucking deploy with kids, man.
Dude, it was hard.
Like that's a whole nother level. And I did that, and then I got a slot for Raven School like right after.
So I got to ask, like when you're talking to some of these, it's different when you talk to, we'll say a mastermind, right? Mm-hmm. So the mastermind level of a terrorist organization versus somebody who I would say more as an infantryman for the organization. Yeah. How was it talking to them? How was their demeanor?
They are extremely charming and extremely manipulative for sure. So with the big wig guys that I was talking to, so I was in one of the worst compounds. There's compounds of people that you were talking about, like the soldiers, but there are also compounds of like basically areas like blocks. There were blocks of people that shouldn't even been there. They just happened to be in the area when an IED went off, and they just wrap up, military age men, all of them. If you're within a mile of IED going off, like they were just wrapping you up. There were compounds of that. There were compounds of soldiers of what you're talking about, and there were compounds of these bigwig leaders. And then there were blocks of like offenders, like known offenders, like people that would
Make IEDs.
like shit on fire. No, like people like in the actual prison. Like they would freak out and kill each other.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so like Supermax.
Yeah, like Supermax stuff. And
did you float around to the different?
So I was in one of the soldier camps. Like I never got into a camp where it was people that shouldn't have been there. I never worked in one of those.
I don't know how it.
That had to have been more difficult
Yeah.
for them, right? For those airmen
working that. Yeah.
But for me, it was soldiers, and then I got switched to Compound 6 East is what it was called. It doesn't exist anymore, so I don't mind saying it. It was Compound 6 East, where it was like the offenders and a few of the major leaders, essentially, because like the agency, OSI, and a couple of other intelligence agencies were in there trying to figure out who was who, and they would know that this guy, this leader of Al Qaeda, put a hit out on this guy over in this compound for something. So he would be known as a known offender. He would go to 6 East. So with my language skills, it was really cool because I would be in the room randomly as a guard while some CIA ops guys were like interrogating or questioning someone.
Advanced, what do they call it now? I think it's
advanced tactical questioning or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And I actually called out one of the interpreters for not interpreting something correctly. And I was like, hey, just so you know, what he just interpreted is not what this guy just said. I was like, I know this. Like
it wasn't a linguist, was it?
It was a certified linguist that
Airman?
didn't. No, it was
a contractor.
Yeah, well, it was a dude that was from Iraq.
Right.
It was like an Iraqi interpreter. And I was like,
do you remember what he said versus what he
can't say. I can't say. But
was it?
It was like
off?
it was blatant.
So this interpreter was just trying to fuck this dude over.
Well, no, the interpreter was trying to get the guy off.
Oh,
yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah. So it would be like if you were questioning someone and the interpreter was telling you, yep, it was for sure a blue vehicle traveling in this direction. And the interpreter is telling the agent, oh, it was a red motorcycle traveling in the opposite direction. It was like, I know what north and south is, and I know what red and blue are, and I was like, this isn't right. So yeah, I got coined for that, which was cool. They actually found out
that agency?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
They actually found out that interpreter was
dirty.
Was a dirty, yeah, and it was like a whole
welcome
thing.
to Camp Bucca.
Well, yeah, I was like, dude, like I really want to be like doing what these people are doing, like be like a part of the agency as like a national clandestine services type, whatever. No, this is my shot.
And you have no kids, dude, I was
family.
Like,
I was like 20, 19 or 20. Family, but... Well, I mean, like, yeah, but I was like 20. I was like, oh, dude, this is it. And yeah, I was like, I just really honed my Arabic skills and try to do everything I can. But yeah, that was my first deployment.
So super charming and everything else like that.
Yeah, for especially Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He was the guy that was in charge of ISIS, and Trump killed him 2 years ago, I want to say.
Are you talking about the Iranian missile strike?
No.
That's al-Assami.
Nope.
Am I saying his name right?
I'm not sure. But yeah, no, this would have been in 2020, 2021, probably.
So we had him, but he got out.
Yeah.
How?
I'm not sure. Like, he wasn't a known player at the time. Like, he became the leader of ISIS, but at the time, he was a mid-level, probably Al-Qaeda guy.
Do you ever think like?
So do you know how
we know the agency does things and empowers certain. I mean, they empowered Osama bin Laden when the Russians were in Afghanistan.
So a lot of it has to do with what the media portrays based on political agenda. So, like, do you know how ISIS was formed? Like, I'm saying that, assuming that you don't.
No, I just know that the Taliban said they're too fucking whack.
So,
and I also know a lot of people don't realize this, but there's a lot of like almost gangs in the Middle East trying to control certain territories, certain opioid farms, things like that.
So what had happened was during, and this will be super short, during Arab Spring, Syria started to revolt, like, I don't know if you remember the protests and stuff, because Egypt successfully overthrew their leader and, everything happened. Well, Syria, the Syrians were going up against al-Assad, and they were protesting, and al-Assad was like, hey, I don't like the protests. Go the fuck home, essentially, is what he said. And what he did was, he empowered the army to be like, hey, if these guys don't go home, open fire on them, essentially. And some of the people in the army were like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's fucked up. So some of the people split from the army, and the other guys that didn't give a fuck, they went to the protests and they opened fired.
Oh my God, I do remember that. That was back in
so the people that left, they started their own group called the Free Syrian Army, the FSA. And so their mission now was to overthrow Assad. They got a lot of followers. And what had happened was they were getting funding from the US. This is very well documented. They were getting funded from intelligence agencies from the US, intelligence agencies from all over the world, because the world doesn't like Assad.
Syria. Yeah.
He fucking gasses little kids and all that other stuff, right? So the Free Syrian Army, they're gaining numbers. They have money now, right? Well, al-Assad, kind of what he did was he freed a bunch of prisoners, like extremist fucking prisoners, that even Assad's an extremist. He imprisoned these guys. Imagine how extreme they were, right? So he released them from these prisons and was like, "Hey, I will release you, but you have to go join the Free Syrian Army, the FSA." Like, all right, cool. So
it's like almost like a counter op.
So al-Baghdadi was a part of one of these people that was in the prison by Syria.
So he had gotten locked up in Iraq.
Yep. Got out somehow.
Yep. Didn't they overthrow that prison at one point?
They rioted a bunch. They rioted a bunch. I mean, like, the prisoners never overthrew it. No.
Okay.
So
it's a mystery on how he got out of Bucca.
Correct. I'm not sure, but it was probably some deal, I would imagine. But so he winds up in Syria, winds up being imprisoned in Syria, and then during this turmoil, al-Assad releases him and a bunch of other really bad dudes to join the Free Syrian Army. Okay. So religion is a big thing. So these people are experts in religion, and they convert a whole bunch of the Free Syrian Army people.
Do we know if they're Shia?
I think they were a mix.
Sunni?
Yeah. They were a mix in between the two of them.
Oh, okay.
And we can get into what the differences are there later. But so what had happened was these extremists are now part of the Free Syrian Army. They literally chop the heads off of people that don't follow them. Literally. Like, hey.
Was that when the videos were coming out?
There were a bunch of videos that did come out from that.
Like where they were trapping people in cages and gasoline. And
Yep. Exactly.
Dude.
So imagine being a part of a group that's like, hey, I'm not going to shoot innocent people, to these extremists coming in and be like, hey, you're not going to follow me in my direction of what I want to do. You're fucking done. And then you were just killed, essentially. Right.
Jesus.
So now the CIA doesn't know this. The intelligence community, they don't know this yet. So now they're funding the Free Syrian Army that is
How do they not
plagued
know?
by extremists. It was extremely secretive as to what Assad did. You have to be a fucking psychopath to release the most extreme motherfuckers on the planet.
Yeah, I can see that.
So they didn't know, right? All the intelligence sources, all the human intelligence people that were in Syria at the time, they didn't fucking know. They just see a bunch of, people that are joining the Free Syrian Army, and it looks like they were getting training, they were getting money, they were getting guns and weapons, all from America, right? But they didn't know.
So I think we should clarify some of that too, because there's a misnomer.
Yep.
America doesn't send over normally brand new firearms.
No,
they don't send over brand new bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch McConnell actually had a really good point about this recently with the Ukraine conflict.
Yeah.
Whereas we are sending over X amount of money in supplies to Ukraine. These are all almost outdated munitions, outdated weapon systems, and we are replenishing our own, bolstering our own military standing. So I do just want to make that clarification. I know a lot of people, and there were instances during the Obama administration when we sent over pallets of cash.
Yes, correct.
But
And so the
We started
U.S.
giving them stuff.
the U.S. government, military, every intelligence agency wanted to get rid of Assad at the time.
Right.
And this was the way that they were going to do it. Let's fund and train and equip the FSA, right?
Mhm.
Which later became ISIS and ISIL. As like that's how ISIS and ISIL was formed, essentially.
Yeah.
And so now, if you look it up, it'll like you'll see, you know, Obama and Bush funded ISIS, and it's like, well, you don't like that is true, but it's not the full story. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like it's whatever the political agenda is of whatever the media wants to know and hear. Like all this stuff is very much public knowledge, right? So yeah, just kind of
Yeah, I'm just pulling up a map of the Middle East.
Yeah,
for us because
I have a master's in geography. So
do you really?
Yeah, I know.
You're just all over the fucking place.
I'm all over the map, literally. Yep. So, yeah, nice map. But yeah, but that's
helps.
So that's kind of how ISIS got formed. But yeah, I back to my story, right? Flew around, Ravens, got out in 2011, went to college, and I never went back to the military.
What did you do after the Camp Bucca deployment? Because you said you did another one.
I did LE just on the base.
Oh, really?
Yep. Pretty fun, actually. I had so much experience on the desk, like just running JDoc is what that was.
What was that like overseas though?
It was, dude, so much stupid fucking shit that you
was it dealing with contractors?
Dealing with everyone, dude. Army, Marine, stealing shit from each other, from the fucking BX, like stupid fucking shit that you would have to.
There's a lot of dumbasses, dude.
It's so dumb.
Like,
dude, like, so I got experience just like people that were trying to like be deserters and shit. Like we had this one Army guy that was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Forged his like leave documents, signed his commander's signature, and like tried to like catch the next flight out to fucking Germany or whatever. And
like, bro, what's your plan?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like what are you gonna do once you get to Germany?
So when we hemmed him up, he had a pretty good plan, I think. If he got on the plane, I think he would have dipped for sure.
And just been gone forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So just in the little, like, again, I was on the desk most of the time. So I didn't,
right.
I was probably on this deployment, I was probably 50-50 on the desk, like managing shit. And then the other 50% was actually on the road, like responding to shopliftings and shit. And this guy was one of the ones that I responded to. I actually found him in the pack terminal, like getting ready to like leave. And I was like, hey, are you Sergeant whoever or Private whoever? He's like, yep. I was like, all right, cool. Come with me. Apprehended him, read him the article, whatever rights, and, put him in the back of the car and took him down and questioned him. I did all that stuff, did his 1168, and was like, dude, like how most security forces people, they're like super structured and like very much. And I'm just like, dude, like, what do you do? Like, what are you doing? Right. It's like, like what happened? And he just told me everything. He told me his whole story, everything. And we inventoried his stuff, and sure enough, he had his forged documents, and wound up turning him over to his command. And I don't know what happened to him after that, but yeah, he got charged, and it was just stupid shit like that.
Worth still, dude.
But like we would get called to like animal abuse charges. Like they'd find dogs, like the Marines would find dogs on base and like fuck with them and stuff. So we would get called to that. We'd get called to sexual assaults.
Oh yeah, that's.
We would get called to TCNs fucking stabbing each other, literally. And you show up I'm like, this is a classic, like as if you were at like a police academy, and there's like blood on the wall, and there's a knife here with blood on it, and it's like, we need to call fucking investigations.
I'm
gonna call OSI. I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck happened. Let's just get investigations out here.
So it's funny because like security forces is very much like get there, resolve the problem, whatever the problem is actively, right? And then when it comes to investigation, it's like, oh fuck, man, what do we do now?
Dude, the investigators for security forces, they're pretty sharp. Like,
they're pretty good guys.
Yeah, like I feel like they know what they're doing, and the OSI guys are really good too.
So I
just knew that I knew that I didn't know enough about this. Isn't my forte. I'm not going to try to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just, let's just get everyone the fuck out of here, secure the scene, and just make sure that investigations comes and does their thing.
Yeah, shout out to Sergeant Calhoun. I deployed with him in 2020, and that dude, he ended up working flight with us. We were in Kuwait at Al Mubarak Air Base.
Yeah.
So if you ever go to Kuwait, it's a pretty lame deployment, with the exception of you work Al Mubarak Air Base every day.
Yeah.
You get to drive 90 minutes on the most dangerous road in all of the Middle East.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And we're doing like, dude, I shit you not, like 140, 150 kilometers per hour.
Why would you go that fast if you know it's the most dangerous?
Everyone is going that fast. And we're like, we're in those white Chevy Express vans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
dude,
it was psychos.
Dude.
Oh my God.
Oh, the amount of dead bodies I saw on that highway is insane.
God damn, dude. Yeah.
And like, they don't have like a.
Where is this? This is in Saudi or?
No, it's Kuwait.
Oh, it's in Kuwait.
Yeah, I was at Salim.
Okay.
So working at Salim and then
so you actually worked at Al Salim?
I worked at Al Mubarak.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've been there. I've been to Salim.
KCIA. It's the Kuwait International Airport.
I've been through KCIA, but like just as a civilian.
The thing that really sucked is because that's not to get like super dark, but it's the hub of all the operations happening in the Southeast Asia.
Okay.
So anybody that died, I was in charge of rendering. Honors as they pass through. So
that's tough, man.
Yeah, that was a tough. Everyone says like, and it sucks too because I tell them like, oh yeah, I deployed to Kuwait. They're like, oh man, it must have been so easy, must have been so nice. And I was like,
fuck you, bro. No. Yeah.
I just tell them, I chop it off. I'm like, yeah, man, it was okay.
Yeah, no,
yeah. So before we pass on, I do want to like, you're pretty versed in the Shia Sunni.
Yeah. So I was actually Middle Eastern Studies major in college when did you
start college?
I started college part-time online at AMU, like on that first deployment. I took a class at AMU, transferred to the University of Alaska Anchorage,
right?
Did a bunch of core courses there, like bio and math and stuff, and then went back to AMU. And because I couldn't stay at University of Alaska Anchorage because I had a PCS, so I was like, it would be cool to get my degree from here, but I can't stay, and I still had a whole bunch of courses that I had to do. So, yep. And then
you started that. And then you started in what studies?
Middle Eastern Studies.
For what purpose? What was your idea of going into?
I really just wanted to be like in the intelligence community somehow, right? CIA, DIA, wanted to be, NSA, whatever. And I was like, and I had all this experience speaking Arabic at this time, and I knew a lot about the Middle East because, like, I would talk to, the ICOs and the prisoners and all this other stuff. So it's like I did this every day for almost a year, just talk to these people about what their culture is like and their history and their customs and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm getting like this experience. Mm-hmm. So I was like, so I would do the Middle Eastern Studies classes and cool, like I kind of already understand the difference between the religions and, Abu Bakr and the Prophet Muhammad and like their relationship and his brother. And it's like, so I kind of already understood like that's such a huge driver in their culture. Mm-hmm. And that's the big difference between Sunni and Shia is when the Prophet died, who took over the religion? It's like, do you think that the brother should, even though the brother didn't really follow him? He thought he was full of shit. Or do you think that his buddy that was with him by his side the entire time from the beginning, who should take over the religion? Who should be the leader of the religion? Blood or his friend? Yeah. And that's like, there's a lot of other differences there too, but like those are the main, like, that's like the main thing. So it's like, aside from being Sunni and Shia, like who would you choose to be the leader? The blood brother?
Being completely ignorant of the faith. I would say the
friend,
the faithful.
Yeah. Yep. I can't remember. It's been so long. I think Sunni's the one that is for the brother and the Shia is for the friend, I think. But I'll have to Google that. It's been a while since I was in this space. But yeah. So
that's I didn't know is that I don't want to say simplistic, but like that
it's very complex, but that's like, literally how you would explain it's like a third grader. There's a lot of other complexities in there, but that's like one of the main things for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was Middle Eastern Studies major, and you know, I took Arabic 1, 2, and 3, which Arabic 3 is like you have to have conversations with people in order to pass those classes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very difficult.
I remember I took up to in college French 4.
Really?
Yeah. I used to be like really good at it.
Je m'appelle Jeff. Comment allez-vous? In 1, 2, 3. In vite vite, which is like quickly. Like hurry up. Yeah. Yep.
It's interesting. Granted, that was like 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's interesting how quickly that stuff just kind of
you lose it.
Gone.
I actually, so I'm in carpool a lot trying to pick my kids up, and I literally just bought the Rosetta Stone lifetime thing, and I'm getting back into Arabic. And I'm just like, oh,
we should do it together,
dude. If you want to do Arabic, dude, 100%. Like I'm like just after doing it for the last 2 weeks, like I'm pretty.
Yeah, I want to learn how to speak it, and then because I'm really interested in faith in general.
Yeah.
Mostly from the argument of what people feel versus what they read. And if I can get closer to the original text, like, and actually be able to read Aramaic.
Yeah.
And I know I know Arabic and Aramaic are two. It's like I speak English.
Yeah.
Which is a derivative of Latin.
Yeah.
Like I get there's differences, but it gets me one step closer to that just in my kind of lifelong ambition of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely. That'll be dope, man.
Yeah, no, if you want to get into it, I think Rosetta Stone, you can download it on your phone for, I think you pay every 3 months.
Oh, I got the lifetime.
Oh, you do? Okay,
yeah, it's like cool. It was like $149.
Yep. Yeah.
And you can pick whatever language you want to learn that.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, I can switch on and off all the languages that I want. But yeah, no, it's cool. But yeah,
So you go to college, you finish college.
Yep.
What did you finish college while you were in the military?
No. Nope.
So walk me through the last couple months of your military.
The last couple, I wasn't supposed to deploy on my last deployment because I didn't have enough time for my date of separation. When they had me but I was deploying as the team leader, and I was like, this would be a really good experience.
And where was the last deployment?
To Iraq.
Okay.
Yep.
Bucca?
No, my last deployment was to Balad.
Okay.
Yep. And Balad was closing down at the time, and so we had our E6. Doug Elsrod, shout out to Elsrod. He got hurt like last minute. So it's like, oh, Jeff's going to be bringing the team to Balad. And my unit had enough faith in me to bring, dude, there was like 40 airmen.
E5, right? I
was an E5. Yep. And so I was the 2IC. Elsrod fell off, and then now I'm in charge of everyone, right? And so I brought him through training. And we got to Iraq, and I was just all right, cool. Like, I guess I'm the team leader. Elsrod got replaced like a couple months in. I never really saw him that much, but he was like on paper in charge of everyone. But he never really put anyone up for medals or took care of anyone or whatever. So I was just like, I took that role, and I came back in like June, I want to say June or July. So I left in January, came back in like July, and I was like, guys, I'm separated. So I was going to try to retrain into PR rescue or into combat control. Like that was my whole goal, is to do that. But I was engaged at the time to someone that's not my wife now. It was a prior engagement that didn't work out eventually, but she was like, no, I want you to get out and, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, like, I'll do that. So I got back to my unit. I was like, hey, you guys didn't know I was separating? Like, I'm out. Like, they're like, dude, you don't have enough time to, like, do everything, the out process. And I'm like, dude, like, kind of is what it is, right? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They can fill out the paperwork on the back end.
Yeah, so I never got my I didn't get my 214 till like 6 months after I got out. So everyone's like, yeah, you have to sign your 214. Like, I didn't do shit. I didn't get to confirm anything that was on there. There wasn't a whole lot of like issues or discrepancies. So I was like, I didn't really give a fuck. They missed a couple of my trainings that I think that should have been on there, but didn't really matter to me at the time. My commander actually let me leave early to go to class because I was enrolled for classes at the college that I was going to down in Fort Lauderdale, and they started in like August, but I didn't have enough leave to do that. He was like, dude, honestly,
commander leave.
Yep. Yeah. Just take
what a
off,
boss,
bro.
Dude.
Yeah.
Do you know his name?
Colonel Harris. He's an 06 now.
The fucking shout
out to Colonel Harris, man. Yep.
It's not many times you run across an officer that
dude, he was like
watches out like that.
Yeah, and he got me an RCOM out of there too.
Holy shit.
Yep. So I got my RCOM, left, and then literally I was in Iraq in June or July, probably like I think I got back like July 4th or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I started college as like a 24-year-old college kid a month later.
Dude, what a
but how
did you feel?
So the transition, I had a very soft landing because I was a collegiate athlete. I went right into the athletic department at my school, and it was very military like.
Okay.
So it was like it's just me going to a new unit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Granted, it's a bunch of airmen, college kids that are 20, right?
But you're like 24.
I was 24, yeah. And I just took that and ran with it, man. Literally, I was on the cross country team. Took that and ran with it, right? And yeah, it was just a really soft, really good transition. I didn't deal with a whole lot of issues.
What were you thinking when you got there? Were you thinking, okay, I'm going to go back in, or
I wanted to be an officer.
Did you do Air Force ROTC?
No, they didn't have it available at the time. So really? I was like, what I'm going to do is, so I was going to apply for an officer slot either with the Navy or the Air Force, and I was going to apply to federal agencies at the same time, and whichever one hit, I was going to go for.
Right.
I was like, if I got my bachelor's, I want to use it, and you have to have your bachelor's to join the FBI, or you have to have your bachelor's to join one of these agencies. You have to have your bachelor's to be an officer in the military. So I was like, if I'm getting my bachelor's, I'm going to use it, and this is the best way that I know how to use it. And I had to have a medical procedure, a brain surgery to be exact, and I couldn't clear MEPS to get back into the military.
Really?
Yep. So,
if you don't mind me asking, was it a result of the military time?
It was, yeah.
So was it covered?
Yeah, dude. So the surgery was like $500,000. I paid, not kidding, I had a 15-cent bill that came in the mail for pharmacy things. 15 cents. Dude. Which I paid.
Which I'm disputing.
in like, I wanted to send 15 cents, like literally pennies? 3 nickels.
Oh.
But I was like, I'm just going to send a check. So I sent the check, and that was it. So yeah, I didn't have to pay anything for it.
I'm glad that got worked out. I know a lot of my buddies are, and myself included, is kind of working through the VA process right now.
Yeah.
And it's not as easy as the VA makes it to be. There's a lot of,
if you have an emergency, like
they're on it.
I feel like they're on it.
Yeah.
So like, example being, I didn't like my surgeon. He was a complete fucking dickhead. Like, I can say that. One of the biggest egos I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've met fighter pilots and Navy SEALs and full stack devs. Those are probably the biggest egos that I know.
I don't know, man. I met some Delta guys before, and they were like
pretty
chill.
The Navy SEAL guys that I met were like
not chill.
Yeah, they were very pompous. Anyway, so this brain surgeon, I didn't like him. I was like, I have all these questions. He's like, I'm not answering any of that. He's like, either you want to do the like, and he wasn't a VA doc. The VA doesn't have brain surgeons on call. They just can't afford them, right? And this guy's like, I'm not answering any questions. Like, you can either do this or you die. Literally. He's like, you either do this procedure and your alternative is you die. And I was like, you're not going to answer my questions? He's like, no. I was like, what a fucking dick. So I call the VA, and they can do what's called, so there's 2 types of investigations that they can do. They can do like one where the doctor knows that you're investigating them, and one where they don't. And the VA rep that I was talking to was like, we can do one of the ones where he doesn't even know that we're looking into him. So it's like, all right, cool, do that. It's like, all right, we'll call you back in 2 days.
Because meanwhile, you're still planning on using him. So you don't want to be like,
correct. Yeah,
I'm investigating you, but go ahead and poke around my brain.
So the investigator came back and was like, okay, your doctor has been practicing for umpteen years and has had 1,500 pre-op complaints. He has had 0 post-op complaints. So I was like,
the guy knows what he's fucking doing.
he's a fucking cocksucker. I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I did it. And my specific surgery, I have no issues. 0 issues. I've never had any issues. So with my specific surgery, you have a 50% chance of needing either another surgery or having some type of symptoms after. And I have nothing. 0.
So you didn't complain.
I did not fucking complain. I actually sent him a letter. I was like, dude, sorry for being a dick. You're a fucking genius. Thanks for basically giving me a life that I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. P.S.
Yeah.
You're a dick.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what you're doing, but you're a dick.
Yeah. And he charged the VA $500,000, like a little
Good
over.
for him, man.
Yeah. So
guys that are that specialized, I don't even get pissed off that they charge that much.
It's like
how many people do you know that can poke around a brain?
So like I can complain about the VA because I'm supposed to go back for MRIs.
Yeah.
And I would go back for the MRI and I'd wait in the waiting room for 6 hours. And then they tell me that I have to reschedule.
Yeah, because they're too backed up.
And I'm like, why the fuck didn't you tell me that when I got here? So I don't use the VA anymore. I just have civilian doctors that I use for everything. So
yeah, I'm just in the initial filing process, which is frustrating in itself because I get conflicted stories. There's some guys that come out there, which I can clear the air. So I've had buddies of mine that say, no, just file, go talk to the VA, get declined, then go out and then go see a doctor.
Wait, file for like a disability claim?
Yeah. So you do your intent to file and then they're like, don't even worry about working with an advocate or anybody. Just go in, talk to the VA directly. See what they decline you for. This is what they told me.
Who?
Hold on.
Who is they?
There's 2 friends of mine that both went this route. It worked out for them. They're up like 80%, rightfully so. But anyway, they go to the VA. They get declined like everything, absolutely everything, and well, with the exception of like tinnitus, which they could easily prove because they had it documented through the military, and a couple other things. Then they get declined. They take that paperwork and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to go get a doctor's note for this. I'm going to get a doctor's note for this. I'm going to get a doctor's note for this. So they go get all the doctor's notes. Then they refile with the VA. Because the VA says
as an appeal.
An appeal. Yeah. So they do an appeal and then they go back through and the VA looks at all their documents. They're like, okay, yes, I guess you're right. We're sorry we declined you the first time. We'll back pay you from your intent to file date, which is 1 year. You have 1 year from the time that you intend to file.
So they're getting 10 grand probably.
Sure. Yeah, but meanwhile, I'm in the process. I go talk to an advocate and I'm talking to her and I'm like, what's this process? And I told her what my friends did. She's like, for the love of God, don't do that.
Yeah.
She's like, you're just going to waste your time. She's like, just get the doctor's notes, get any medical documentation you have, which thankfully I have because I've been having these issues.
Yeah.
It's just, I've been out for, I think, almost 2 years now. Had a baby, moved to Colorado, started two jobs, started in Aurora, and now I'm at the agency that I'm at now.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's easily to explain to the VA, but the VA is going to bring up, why do you have an absence of 2 years where you're not complaining about this stuff?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I mean, I had the DAV file on my behalf.
Yeah.
And I just got it like no issues pretty much. Yeah.
I'm working through the Douglas County Veteran Assistance.
Okay.
They have a specific, so the county pays this person. I guess they're in on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Yeah. So shout out to the DAV. They're a nonprofit. If you're watching this, throw them a couple bucks, even $5.
Yeah.
It's a tax write-off, and like it means a lot for sure. So,
yeah. I would say almost anything. Wounded Warrior Project.
I've heard like
mixed things. They have a lot of benefits for veterans, like going out fishing.
If you look at their filings, dude, it looks like they only use like 10% of their money to actually get back to vets. But I was going to say,
fact
check it first.
I was going to say, if you are going to donate to any organization, just make sure that you look dollar for dollar. For every dollar you donate, where does that dollar go?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the easiest way to
Not for sure.
determine. But so you're in college.
Yep.
You decide, okay, I'm going to go federal or I'm going to go back into the officer route.
Yep.
you get declined MEPS.
Yep. I get declined MEPS and no one's hiring. As far as law enforcement, this was in 2013. It was right before I was about to graduate. So I graduated undergrad in 14.
Okay.
So I started looking in 13, right? So I'm like, I'm pretty much always a year ahead. But at the same time, I'm also marketing myself. So anyone that's in college right now that's watching this, and so I'm an adjunct currently. And what I do to my students is I'm like, write down all the names that you know of people that are in the industry that you're targeting for jobs. Mm-hmm. If you can't write down any names, you are fucked. You're going to be outcompeted by people that are currently networking. So I was pre-law at first when I separated, joined, enrolled in college. I was pre-law, and then I changed my major to environmental science. So I was like, all right, I got inspired by my teacher. That was my science teacher. And I was like, all right, cool. This seems like a cool job. And I just started networking my fucking ass off in environment, just in case my law enforcement fed route didn't work out, and just in case I couldn't get into the military. I was like, I wanted to use my degree. So I was networking my fucking ass off. I was joined every single professional organization, and I was doing my thing, getting myself out there, and also adding value. So I was a scuba instructor in college too. And I remember being at a meeting at a South Florida National Association of Environmental Professional meeting. And they were like, hey, we need divers for this initiative that we're doing. It's like, oh, we only have 2 divers in the room. I'm an instructor. If you all can come back tomorrow, I can certify up to like 8 people, and I'll do it for free, even though it costs me money out of my pocket.
Sure.
So the way that the business model works for scuba instructors is I'll charge you $500 to certify you, and then I take 100 of those dollars to pay for your certification. So I net 400, Patty nets 100, and you get your certification. I ate the cost to certify all the divers, and just to be like, hey, I'm your guy. My name is Jeff Pearson, and I'm graduating next year. So keep me in mind. And yeah, so I couldn't get a job. I applied to Broward County Sheriff, Palm Beach County Sheriff. I applied to Florida State Highway Patrol.
And they weren't hiring.
I applied to Fort Lauderdale Police. I applied to, there wasn't one federal agency that was hiring at the time. So I was like, let me just go.
Where did you go in the process of the application?
So
like, how far did you get?
So I did the poly for Florida Highway.
Yeah.
And I got an interview at Broward. But by the time that stuff hit, I'd gotten a job as a scientist.
Working with the guys that you certified.
Yep. So I was like, do I want to pursue this? I really wanted to be a Florida Highway Patrol guy. I had the best ride along.
Drug interdictions that they do.
Dude, I'm a ticket guy. I love writing tickets. I'm doing the ride along. I'm like, dude, let's write this motherfucker a ticket. He's like, no, man. He's like, the guy's late to his fucking kid's birthday. I don't give a fuck. Write him.
Dude.
I don't give a fuck, dude. Write this motherfucker a ticket. He's like, dude, you need to be a Florida Highway guy. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, dude, I wanted to be I wanted to be on the DUI team down in like the Keys. Like I was like, so going through talking to the chiefs and talking to the recruiters and stuff for Florida Highway, I was like, I want DUI and I want the fucking Keys. They were like, you're going to get it because no one likes DUI and no one likes the Keys.
That's crazy.
I was like, dude, sign me the fuck up.
DUIs are kind of a pain in the ass. And I think we talked about it before.
Yeah.
There's just so much fucking paperwork that's involved.
Yeah.
And even if you're like Johnny on the spot super fast, you're still talking like 3-4 hours.
I didn't care. I liked their vehicles. I like the people. Like I did probably 2 or 3 ride-alongs with Florida Highway. Super fucking cool people, and just driving the fucking highways and just finding drugs, and like I loved it. I fucking loved it. I did a ride along with Palm Beach County Sheriff. That was a blast too. Like the guy I was riding with, I'll show you some videos because he actually let me take some videos of some shit that popped off. And we were actually, dude, they were riding at Belle Glade down there. And my buddy Steve, who's going to watch this for sure, Steve Germano, who's a Palm Beach County sheriff, shout out. We went out to Belle Glade and they were rioting, and the fucking cop was like, yo, like your prior like law enforcement. He's like, dude, he gave me like an extra sidearm. He's like, if shit pops off, like you might
need
have
to
put,
protect my back.
it's like, yeah. I was like, dude, like, let's go, bro. Which I know is not allowed to ride along at all. But I was like, all right, cool, man. Like he's like, stay in the car. Don't fucking shoot unless I start shooting. I was like, all right. I was like, all right. And yeah, it was crazy. And I had a blast. I didn't get to, I did a ride along here with Lakewood.
Okay.
In 2016, I want to say, because I was like, oh, I was like, oh, I don't know.
So you were moving from Florida to here.
So I was moving. So I got a job as a scientist in Florida doing like legit environmental scientist stuff. And I met my wife, and we realized that we didn't want to raise a family in South Florida. So I was either going to get a job in Atlanta or out here in Colorado. So I got a job with a federal agency as a scientist, not in law enforcement or intelligence, just straight science, and moved out here in 2015. Yep. So.
And then how did you get from in the environmental studies, did you start working in GIS stuff there?
Yeah, so my GIS career kind of blossomed from the science stuff, right? So in Florida, we were like surveying wetlands. You have to draw a map for that. We were tagging Florida panthers, which was kind of cool. We actually how I got into it as
are
deep
those
as
just
I
mountain
did.
lines? I just gotta ask.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. I mean,
are they different than mountain?
They
lines?
are. Yeah, they're a little bit smaller, and they have a few different attributes than an actual mountain lion that you'd see out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it always confuses the shit out of me.
Yeah.
People say panther, I think of like.
So there's, and we get into this, but there's something called biogeography where species of animals will be different based on where they live, which is why Alaskan coastal black bears are bigger than the ones that are down here, right? It just has to do with where they're at. But yeah, so we would have issues with our GIS systems because we didn't have a GIS guy, and I just figured it out. And, I got really good at just fixing shit in the systems. And I was like, hey, I'm really good at this. And then when I came here, I was the main GIS problem solver. And I was like, oh, I think this could be a thing. And that's kind of how I got into tech, just in general as well.
So after you move out here, what did you make another career shift?
I made a couple of career shifts for sure.
As far as out of different fields, and other fields.
I'm constantly just looking for self-actualization. If I don't like what I'm doing, like I'm just going to find something else. Like I'm not. I have a lot of respect for people that can stay in the same job for 30 years that they hate, but I can't do it. Like I'm so good at networking that I am able to leverage those relationships for opportunities, essentially, right? Just being a nice guy, just being a nice person, just a nice person, like I feel like gets you pretty far. And even if you're not good at what you're doing, right? So say I was a cop and I was a horrible cop, just not good at it, but I was a good person and you liked me. And I used you as a reference. Even though I sucked at my job, you're still going to be like, yeah,
Jeff's a cool dude.
Yeah,
enjoyed working with him. Came in with a smile every day.
Exactly.
Ready to learn. That's what I would probably say. I'd be like, willingness to learn.
Yeah. So I'm not saying I was bad at scientist type stuff or anything like that, but like you can leverage relationships as long as you're a good, cool person, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I became the main tech GIS guy at Federal Highway Administration, which is a subsidiary of US DOT. And that's where I took that scientist job where I left. Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. And then you met, because of GIS stuff, you met, what's his name that testified in Congress before?
Oh yeah.
What's his name again?
Oh God, I want to say it's like,
starts with a G.
It's like Gorsuch or something like that. I can't remember his name. See if you can Google it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met him at a conference because I got in with a big company, like the biggest mapping company called Esri. who, you know, owns all the patents and owns all the technology when it comes to map making. So, yeah.
UAP Congress?
I think so, yeah. Let's see what that guy's name was. David Grush. Yep, there it is.
David Grush, that's
Yep.
right.
Yeah, so I met him at a conference in DC.
So talking about meeting people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I
it's-
wasn't talking to him about aliens or anything like that. Just
No,
like
I don't honestly
Enterprise.
from what talking or watching the his kind of story unfold.
Yeah.
It doesn't even sound like he was looking for that.
Yeah, like from
He
what
was
I
just
understand.
told.
Yeah, so from what I understand, that whole hearing was just about pilots being able to report weird shit without having to worry about getting reprimanded for
Well,
it.
I guess it all started because he was looking into mismanagement of funds. Like that is what started there. I guess somebody from the IG office came in and was like, "Hey, this money's not matching up. I feel like we're spending multiple of millions of dollars on this project, but there's a lot of overlap at this project. So I think we're mismanaging funds." Is basically from what I understand.
Started.
Yeah, how it started with him, and then he started talking to people, and he's like, "Holy shit,
Yeah,
there might be some." I think his ultimate conclusion was there might be something.
Yeah,
there's a high likelihood that there is something.
Yeah. No,
what is certain is the government sucks at managing money.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But
for sure.
What is the next steps for you? Because you said, do you like where you work now and stuff like that? Or
yeah, I mean, it's okay. My next big step is you know, going to law school and getting my law degree, and you know, kind of like pursuing what that might look like, right? So I took the LSAT, going through the motions of applying to law schools and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy where I'm at now for sure.
what's the process, or what's the logic behind?
Just continued growth, right? Like I paid a lot of money to lawyers that, you know, I feel like I could have done what they did better than they did it. So I was like, I feel like, I don't know, I'm really attracted to the legal system, the legal process, and knowing with a high level of certainty how the chips are going to fall, right? It's like if someone comes in and botches your basement for like a finished basement, there's precedent on that you can read. I genuinely enjoy reading that shit. I really do. So
Nothing like a Batman origin.
I don't think so. Like I was pre-law, like at one point, right? Yeah. And I changed my major to environmental science, which I pursued that. But yeah, I just think that getting my law degree, I mean, even if I don't like being a lawyer, having a law degree is pretty solid for sure. So
yeah,
everything good with the system?
I hope so.
This whole time we weren't recording.
I would be quite pissed.
I've done that before on my podcast.
Please select an option. I hope not. Well, we're going to take a brief break. If not, I think we're almost at like the hour and a half mark. So I hope it.
Okay.
I hope it recorded. Jeff Pearson, I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you telling your story, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Later.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like, follow, and subscribe.
Yep.
And the best place to go is snepodcast.com. You can see all the streaming services there, and then also sign up for the First to Know newsletter. Thank you.
Thanks.